let's look at variables. Now, what's a variable? A variable is a it's used to store data. It's used to store data. Now, data can be strings or it can be numbers. Variable is a name that usually used to represent a memory location which can be used to store data. For example, maybe you have a bucket, and then in that bucket you could put water in it. All right. So once the system asks what is in the bucket, you say it's water. You pull out the water and you put sand in it. What's in the bucket? It's sand. So if anything has to happen within that bucket, you need to remove something from that bucket to add to another container, or remove what's in that bucket and put something new. And that is a variable. So anything that you can change its content is a variable. So some of the conditions of a variable are that they must contain letters, numbers, or underscore. They should not start with a number. Spaces are not allowed between variable name. They cannot be keywords. You cannot use a standing keyword in Python to be a variable name like break or try. They should be short and descriptive. The best form of the short description that you can have that will suit what you're using it for. An example is, I'm going to use a variable to handle print. Then I'll just call it print. If I'm going to use a variable to handle summation of some values, then call it sum. All right. So that is it. Now you remember a variable is also case sensitive. So if you start with a small letter, that means it's different from a variable that has capital letters in it. So you need to be careful when you are writing names for variables. Let's have an example over here. All right, here we are. We're going to look at the value, and then let's write a comment for our program. And first and foremost, we'll put hash. Let me say program to store values in a variable. All right, now we're going to give ourselves, we'll call it bucket. The variable is going to be called bucket equals to Emmanuel. Now that's my name. Remember, it's a string, so it should be within a quotation sign within. All right, so the bucket is now called Emmanuel. So if I say print bucket, now the good thing is about Python, it can show you, or about VS Code, is that you can see whatever you have declared. So it automatically declares print bucket. But remember, I've not put bucket in. Bucket is supposed to be within bracket. It's a string, so don't put in all the necessary. Or else you have this error. Recall you had the error. So the good thing about the errors is that it tells you when you're having syntax errors. That's why you had the red squiggles on that bucket. Now if I were to run this, see, I said print bucket. Now it just printed a bucket for me. But if I now say print, remove the bracket, and then run it again, see, now printed Emmanuel. So it's now printing what is inside the bucket, and Emmanuel is inside the bucket. My name Emmanuel is inside the bucket. Now if I were to replace this Emmanuel with something else, let me say I say bucket equals to it's a 10. Let's give it a value, numeric value 10 equals to 10. Good. Manual equals to 10. Let's run it again. See, it now replaces it, so it's now 10. It's no more my name, it's no more Emmanuel in the bucket, it's now 10 in the bucket. Now Emmanuel was a string, while 10 is an integer, but it gave the output without complaining. And that's the beautiful thing about Python. You do not really need to define the data type before you can use it. You can alter it at will and it will not complain. Unlike other programs or other programs like C, C++, you need to actually define what that variable will contain. And if you put something else in it, it's going to tell you that it is an error with that. Now let's see if we can find out a variable type. So if we now say print type, we're looking for the type of value that is in the bucket. All right, and we run it, and here it is. It tells us that class integer. So the type is an integer because it's now 10. If you were to comment out this 10 or delete it, whichever one is programming, and then we run it again, you have it tell is a string. Str is a string. So that's how you now can find out the actual value of things within the bucket. So if we don't want, but if we want bucket to be deleted, all we have to do is just delete the bucket and it will not exist anymore. So let's have this, the del bucket doesn't exist anymore. So if I say print bucket, let's do this, print bucket, and you can see that once I put del bucket, automatically it puts mark a bucket is not defined. Right, that's what it tells you, bucket is not defined. So let's run it. You can see invalid syntax because there's no bucket. But if you pull out the del, bucket is back. So we have bucket again to run with